Brandon, man, we've known each other for a long time, actually.
We have. We've got some history.
Yeah, we've got a lot of history. But let's start with the present and what you're doing at Prevy.
Okay.
And maybe start with what you're announcing. Like you're making a really, really big announcement. I think a game-changing announcement. And it's really interesting how you got here and stuff. But let's just start with the big news right out the gate, man.
Previ's my third company. My last company was a company called Weave. And Previ is an employee benefit, like pure and simple. So our mission is simply to help employees save more of their paycheck. Like it really is that simple. And so what the employee benefit space has never been exciting. It's never been something that every HR leader is like looking forward to things. Like you think about it at the end of every single year, everybody has to renew or review their health insurance, their benefits, all of that. And it's like a dreaded time of the year. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to create something that would literally make every HR leader across America want to talk about this, put it in front of their employees, have employees talk about it. And so I started this company we started building in 2022. I raised funding initially for it at the end of 2021. And we're finally to the point where we're announcing really what we started the company with the intention to do. And so we started with wireless phone service, have great partners with T-Mobile and AT&T, could not be doing what we're doing without them. But what we've built is a marketplace. And so we had to get enough companies on board, enough employees on board to actually get consumer brands to care.
Right.
And consumer brands are looking for audiences. They're looking for people. They want to sell their products. They want to get it into their hands. And so we're announcing 4 things tomorrow. The first is something that we call the drop.
Technically,
catchy name.
I just want people to know, today we're recording this the day before. Yeah. But when this goes out, we'll say today.
When this goes live.
When you're hearing Brandon's voice.
You can go to the website and actually get
it's happening.
So the first thing we're calling is the drop. It is basically an employee store where you as a Prevy member, as long as your company is partnered with us, and it's completely free for the company to partner with us, you can go and shop on our website and buy products from amazing brands at employee pricing. And the first brand that we have on as of today is Cotopaxi.
Yeah.
So you can come on to Cotopaxi. We partnered with them. They did an amazing job, believing in what we were trying to build. They think it's super cool, but they allocated a limited amount of product to us. And with the partnership of these companies that we work with, we're able to bring the price down to what we call employee pricing. And in your mind, you can try to come up with whatever you think that price is. It's really freaking good.
Yeah.
And so we're going to sell out fast. I know we will when people see it. Cotopaxi makes amazing products. And this will get a lot more Cotopaxi products into the hands of consumers. So that's the first thing we're announcing. Said we're doing 4 things. The second thing is introducing AI into the Prevy benefit. And we're starting with the wireless bill. So your cell phone bills are confusing. If you really look at your cell phone bill, it's like 15 pages long.
Yeah.
And to understand what's going on,
that's crazy.
like what is a regulatory fee? Do you have any idea?
No.
And do you know all the things wrapped into what the regulatory fee is?
No, it's just going to make me mad, I bet.
It probably will. So these bills are confusing. And what we're introducing with AI is the ability to upload your bill and we will review it for you and then give you a quote on what Prevy might be able to provide you. On average, we're saving people over $1,300 a year on their personal cell phone bills. So this is just a step forward in making it more accessible, more easy, help people understand, help them save. The third thing we're announcing is in addition to the drop and wireless service, We have home and auto insurance now available to employees as a benefit. What we're doing is we're just looking at what are the things that employees spend their paycheck on. And cell phone service, everybody has that.
Have to have
If
that.
you have a car or if you have a home or you rent a place, which is virtually everybody, you have to have some form of insurance. And so we have preferred pricing with some of the major carriers, Progressive, Liberty Mutual, Travelers, and a bunch of others. We are a fully licensed brokerage firm. We have licensed agents, and on average, we're seeing people save about $1,000 a year on their premiums.
What made you decide to be a firm? That's interesting.
So in order to create margin on wireless, on insurance, you kind of have to do a bunch of the dirty work. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Same with the drop. In order for us to get the pricing, we didn't want to inventory product.
Right.
We didn't want to have to ship it and do all of that, but we had to. If we wanted to bring the price down, we had to absorb some of their costs. Customer service, we have to absorb some of that. And so home and auto insurance is the third thing. And then the last thing is a product that we call Chirp. It's a text messaging tool for HR teams to use completely free. So if they partner with us, we give them this tool they can use for free. But one of the problems we found is if you need to get a message out to your employees and you need them to see it quickly, it's virtually impossible to do that unless you use text messaging.
Yeah, because you're not Slacking or email. You're not getting people's attention right away.
Email and Slack still gets viewed between 60 to 70% of the time.
Yeah.
And you're looking at hours before it gets viewed. And so if let's say there's a gas leak in the building, how are you getting that message out? Or let's say you have a really cool new benefit you want to let everyone know about. How are you getting that out?
Right.
The best way is text. So
Yeah, and that's your bread and butter. I mean, you guys do that better than anyone.
I have a little bit of
You
experience.
have a lot of
with
experience in
text
that. That's
messaging.
what Weave was, is a telephony product. And telephony's not easy. People think that's easy, but it's not easy.
So
it's a
when I
hard thing.
left my last company, I wanted to avoid telephony. And the very first thing we did was telephony, cell phone service.
Well, you did bring Gabe Gunderson as your CTO.
He
He's going to integrate some telephony.
absolutely.
He's a telephony genius.
Yep. He did it once and I knew he could do it again.
Yeah, he's incredible. So tell us about the founding team and Gabe and the whole team and like what went into creating this team. And obviously, I know Gabe really well. You know Gabe really well, working on the Weave piece, and I worked with Gabe at Izeni. Incredible man. But tell us about the team and what led you to recruit who you recruited, because it's an all-star team. It's an incredible team.
It is an amazing team. So Gabe was literally one of the first people I reached out to. So my history with Gabe was we had an idea to build Weave back in the day, and he was one of the first people we got introduced to because not many people in the state of Utah understood telephony to the level that we needed at that time. And I got connected to Gabe, and not only is he one of like the nicest, kindest people in the world, he's also really smart. And he was able to help us, bring that vision to reality. There were times where he had told me, and this was early on, we had no funding. I literally had an IOU out to the Gundersons, Izeni, and there was no paper. So it was like hey, we owe you some money.
Yeah.
But he said he would get nervous even getting in the shower and stepping away from his phone because that's how much he cared that our system stayed live and active and we weren't running into issues with customers and any of that kind of stuff. And so
How incredible is that, first of all?
when you're not able to pay somebody
That
and they
is-
care that deeply,
For like
it's
the
amazing.
entrepreneurial spirit and mindset of the Gundersons is wild. You won't find that in too many people.
You absolutely won't. So it was an easy choice to go to him, explain kind of the idea, what I wanted to build. I knew he could figure it out because that's been his history. That's what he's done. Gabe's been an awesome partner. I think he complements me really, really well. I love product. I love sales. I love the vision. But none of that puts a product in anybody's hands.
Mm-hmm.
And being able to go to him, explain kind of what I'm thinking, and for him to then architect that and come back with, here's how we can do it. And not only does he come back with, here's how we can do it, he's usually leveled it up 1 or 2 levels with making it more flexible, everything.
Mm-hmm.
He's been amazing to work with.
Yeah. What about the rest of the team and what went into that?
Yeah. So the rest of the team, just about everybody worked with me at Weave. So I got to know, obviously, a lot of these people. A lot of them were early on at Weave, and many of them stayed through the IPO. And so reaching out to them, I knew who was good, and kind of got to pick the best of the best and bring them over. And the team is amazing. My brother's working with us.
Yeah.
He was one of my co-founders at Weave. He's actually been the one that started up the insurance side of things, built the team there, got us licensed, and got that off the ground. Just an amazing group of people I feel fortunate to be building with.
Yeah, it's incredible, man. And to do it again is just wild. I was texting you. I was like, you're in rare air here if you pull this off. Like to do 2 is wild.
If we pull it off.
You'll pull it off.
That's the key.
You'll pull it off.
I know I'm going to pull it off, but I just got to feign a little bit of like humility.
I've already skipped to the end. And you pulled it off. So you had this really kind of like viral post when we went public. I don't know if you've ever talked about this before. Have you? I'm sure you have.
A little bit.
But yeah, I don't know that I've ever heard it from you other than, but not like publicly in like a setting like this. So tell us about that. Like we went public, you weren't there.
Yeah. It's not how you draw up the story
to
not be there for your IPO. Well, technically I was there. I just wasn't in the room.
You weren't on stage.
I was standing outside.
You were in New York City.
I was in New York City. I was looking up at the Weave banner in front of the New York Stock Exchange. I heard some noises going on inside, but no, I was not in the building when it happened. That was an interesting day, emotional on all accounts. Emotional from the standpoint of, wow, this company that we started from nothing is now a publicly traded company. Like that's amazing. So there was some celebration, but then there was also the feelings of like sadness, I'd say bitterness too, of I knew there were people inside that had just recently joined the company, not even executives. And they had brought spouses with them. And being in at the company, and nothing against them, it's not their fault.
Sure.
But being in a company for, let's say, less than 3 months and taking up 2 of the spots, and the person, well, I shouldn't say just the person, the people, none of the co-founders were there. One of the co-founders left on very good terms. I would say my terms were not the best, unfortunately. But
how does that happen? Like how does it happen that you're not on stage when Weave goes? But besides the fact that you didn't leave on the best of terms or whatever, like how does it happen that you're not on stage? I don't get that.
I don't either. So I asked if I could attend, and I actually wasn't asking to be on stage. I just wanted to be in the room to see it happen, and get photos in there. And for whatever reason, the people involved, the board of directors, the existing executive team, I was only told it would be inappropriate if I was there. And, when I heard that, obviously I disagreed. I think, you see a lot of competitors in sports. They are going at it on the field. When the game's over, they're hugging each other. Yeah. They're congratulating each other.
Yeah.
And so whether or not we agreed on the vision for Weave or the direction it should go, I think there's always a time and a place to put that in the past and celebrate in the present, because liquidity was happening for everyone involved. I'm super grateful for the board of directors, for all of our investors that believed in us. We couldn't have built it without them. And sometimes things diverge, and that happened. For me, it actually was the best thing to ever happen. I don't have an ounce of quit in me.
Yeah.
And I am very bullheaded when it comes to vision and what the right thing is and what should be done. So I never would have left Weave. But for me, and for today, the launch of all these things with Prevy, it gave me a completely clean slate to sit back and say, if I'm going to contribute something to the world, if I'm going to start another company, and these things are hard.
Yeah, unbelievable.
They're brutal. If I'm going to do it, what am I going to do? If I can really sit back and kind of create this from nothing. And I feel so fortunate to be where I'm at today, building Prevy. You've already touched on the amazing people.
Yeah.
And we really hope we're going to help a lot of employees everywhere and get them some cool stuff and help them save more of their paycheck.
So give entrepreneurs advice on how to avoid that situation. And I don't think that's a uniquely Utah thing, but I'm sure you saw recently, there was maybe like 4 or 5 weeks ago, somebody was talking about, hey, make sure you pitch out-of-state investors because you can get better terms. They're going to let you stay on as CEO longer and things like that. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that has anything relevance to your experience. But now having gone through that, I guarantee you when, not if, Prevy goes public, you'll be on the stage. So give people a sense for how you avoid that. Yeah. And kind of what they should be thinking about so things like that don't happen. Like for a founder to get kicked out of his company, and again, that's a broad brush. I actually don't even know the full details. But for you to be, not leave your company on the best of terms is a whole thing unto itself. Right? Yeah. Like you never want that to happen. Like founders are the reason why companies exist, right? And that should be, unless it's something crazy, let's make sure that we handle that appropriately, right?
Yep.
So, and then for two is like, even when a huge thing that you made happens. So give people a sense for what they should think about when they're, and this isn't a VC thing, I don't think, but like for how they're raising money, for how to build your board of directors, things like that.
Yeah. So I guess the first thing that I would say is understand what VC money is. Most people would look at my situation and say, oh, he would never raise money from VCs again. I did. Mm-hmm. Like I believe if you want to grow a company faster than it organically can grow, you need something. It's like if you want to work out, lose weight faster, or gain muscle faster, you're going to have to use something. So I view VC money as kind of a drug. It can be used to your benefit and it can be used against you if you're not careful. So understanding what you're really doing. Venture capitalists, I believe they have the same motivations that you have initially. They want your company to be successful. They have different motives behind it and what they're looking for from it. But ultimately they want you to be successful. And I think most VCs are good people. Obviously there's always a bad apple here or there.
And you took Utah VC funds.
I took Utah VC
so it's
funding.
not like, yeah.
Actually both times. Yeah. With Weave and with Prevy. And I think, as a first-time founder, there's not a lot you can do. You're going to take money. Oftentimes, you can only take money from the people willing to give you money.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a choice and you have multiple term sheets. Sometimes it's one term sheet and the terms may not be great. To defend VCs, they are putting money into your company and they do need a say in it, especially if you're a first-time founder. They need to protect their money. I have money in different VC firms myself, and I want them to, protect that investment. But as a first-time founder, you at some point, you may lose control of your company. You just have to realize that's a risk that will happen. as a second-time founder who maybe has easier access to capital, whether it's personal capital, friends and family, or investor capital, I think you have a stronger say.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the fortunate position I'm in. I can tell people, look, I'm not leaving and I will fight this time. Last time I didn't fight maybe as strongly as I could have or should have. Some people would say that. But I also was looking out for everybody. I was looking out for my co-founders' equity, for the employees' equity, and wanted to make sure it was as amicable as possible. But I also can look at that company and envision what it would be today had I still been there with the drive and the vision that I have. And I think the potential for Prevy is that it could be one of the biggest company Utah's ever seen. And that's not going to come in the next year or two. It's not an overnight thing. It's a persistent driving the company and the vision of it. And so,
do you think that's a uniquely Utah story? Like you went through YC. I think you were the first Utah company to ever get accepted into YC, which was huge. I remember when that happened. But is that a uniquely Utah thing? Because you do see Silicon Valley founders, first-time founders, keep control of their company the whole way through, right? I mean, Zuckerberg only did one, and he has full control over Facebook. It's a unicorn example of unicorn of all unicorns example. But there's lots of examples of this happening in Silicon Valley where, you know, it just seems like founders are more sacred in Silicon Valley.
Yeah.
Is that true? I don't know if that's true. I just said that, but I don't know if it's true.
I don't know. You know, having to step down from my last company felt like an isolated thing. I felt like I was the only one. Even looking at the state of Utah, what other founders of unicorn companies weren't running their companies.
Yeah.
So it felt very isolated. But then the more I researched it, looked into it, it happens everywhere.
Happens a lot.
It doesn't matter if it's the Bay Area, Utah.
Yeah.
It happens, and it happens for all various reasons. Sometimes you hear the story that I'm going to take a step back, spend time with the family. You know, it's my choice, and it is completely not their choice.
Yeah.
But that's the story. Sometimes it legitimately is the story, and it was the choice of the individual. And sometimes new leadership is needed to be brought back into a company. I think when you see somebody like Mark Zuckerberg, that's a case where they had something so good that they had the pick of what they wanted.
Yeah, that's true.
And so that's probably the biggest lesson, is be patient until you can have the negotiating leverage. And to the point you made about that X post a little while ago, reach out to Silicon Valley, look outside of Utah. I think it's just wise to cast a wide net.
Yeah, of course.
Get a lot of bids. It is a market.
Yeah.
And you're looking to sell stock in your company in exchange for cash to help grow your company.
Yeah.
Get more eyes on it. If you only get one offer or offers from one area, you're not really seeing what the market potential is.
Yeah. By the way, I don't think that post kind of made it seem like VCs were trying to keep other investors out, Utah VCs. I don't really get that sense. I could be wrong about that, but I think they understand that as well. Like you should go pitch to as many investors as possible. Why not?
The scenario where I would probably, when a VC knows they have something good and they have it at a price that they want it at, and they don't want that price to go up because there's less price sensitive investors out there, I can see those VCs getting upset.
Yeah.
But you got to play the game on the field.
Yeah.
And make your field a lot bigger.
Yeah. And talk to founders and people who've done it before and who you should be talking to, who you should be pitching, all that type of stuff. I feel like that stuff's critical. Let's get to what you're building though. So it's like a benefits company, but when I hear that, I hear like payroll and, taxes and things like that. Are you doing that type of stuff too? Or is that going to be down the road? Is that on the product roadmap?
So Honestly, we really have never talked about getting involved in traditional benefits.
Interesting.
We think those have been tackled for a long time. There's massive companies already built in the space. Even like the 401k, I think it was introduced in the 80s. And, you know, those are great things. They don't need to be innovated on. Obviously, health insurance as a whole needs to be innovated and figured out for our country. But
that's beyond any one company.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. And I like to create, and I don't like to go into a space that already exists. I want to create something that's new, something that's fun and exciting. And so we really looked at Prevy as it doesn't exist out there. And a lot of this idea came from just the early days at Weave and the gratitude I had for the employees that believed in us. I was a first-time founder. I had no experience doing what I had done. And people believed. They put their blood, sweat, and tears and grew it into a public company. So I wanted to build something that could give back to them. And then the other thing that was really cool, as I was thinking of, you know, what am I going to start, was in 2018 at Weave, we had a really cool Christmas party. And we had an amazing year. We had exceeded all the expectations we had on growth. And so we had a massive bonus pool for the company. And instead of doing what most companies do with that bonus pool, which is give the top 10 to 20% of the employees a ton of cash, then give everybody else like a gift card. I looked at it as everybody made this happen. Didn't matter if you're, you know, one of the top engineers we had, or if you're on customer support and just on calls all day, you know, saving customers. It took everybody to do it. And so we took the bonus pool and split it evenly amongst all of the employees in the company. I think we had roughly 300 employees at the time. But if you just give people cash, it's not as meaningful. It's really easy to give cash too, especially now when you just direct deposit it. But when you spend time crafting something that comes from the heart, people notice. And so what we did was we gave everybody some cash because you need cash, especially during the holidays.
Sure.
But we then took the rest and gave out 15 different gifts to every single employee. This was like an Oprah moment for me. I was up on stage and no one knew what to expect. And I started out small. I think we gave everybody a Cafe Rio gift card. And then everybody got a Weave branded hat. Everybody then got a t-shirt. Then it went to like a Patagonia jacket. Then it was Apple AirPods. And then VR headset. And they just kept getting bigger and bigger. Sonos speakers. We gave everybody a Traeger grill.
That's cool.
And it just like blew everybody's minds. But we didn't have enough money to actually go out and buy all these things at MSRP. And so we reached out to all the companies, the manufacturers, and said, hey, if we buy 300 of these, what kind of a discount could you give us? And everybody gave us a discount. And turns out when you buy in bulk, you get a discount. We all are familiar with Costco.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge part of the underlying thesis for Prevy. How do we get cool products to people at better prices so their paycheck will stretch further?
Now tell me about this idea of like your Cotopaxi example, where you didn't want to be in the shipping and storage business, but you are. Like, what was that? Like, walk us through that decision and what it's like been, because that's a whole business in and of itself, Brandon. Like, that's a whole thing. And you've built that now, and you probably have warehouses somewhere around here. Like, tell us about how all of that came to be and kind of your thinking behind that.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is, and everybody's heard this, but it's from Mike Tyson. Everybody has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Right.
And so initially we had every brand that we were talking to telling us, oh, you don't want to ship this stuff. You don't want to warehouse it. We're like, well, can you drop ship it? And most of them were like, well, we'll have that feature later this year. We're like, okay. So now we can't even drop ship stuff through them directly. And then some of the discussions around what products could be available. We talked about using codes on their website because we'd love to push employees to the brand's websites.
Right.
But then came with a lot of restrictions. And so it was really hard to message, here's a code that gets you access to this corner of the store, but this other, like all this other stuff you see, ignore it. And so the idea with Prevy was always to do something in a curated way. And so it just brought us back to the original idea of, well, okay, if you can't drop ship or you're not able to, then I guess, and we can't get a code for everything, then let's just select some things, place an order with you, and then we'll have you send those to us, and then we'll ship them out to everybody. So it was really a lesson in sometimes you're small and you can't dictate things.
Yeah.
You got to fit into existing systems. You have to start somewhere. And usually it's not where you want to be, but it's where you got to start.
Right.
And so we kind of accepted it, and we think it's a cool experience now.
So how many warehouses do you have?
So we've got one, and we'll ship it. It's actually just down the street from our office. We wanted to be close to it.
Yeah.
And we get limited supplies of these products. We will sell out. And so people will need to come quickly, order. We put limitations on how many items each person can order.
Right.
This whole idea was built around the idea of the Nike employee store. So I grew up in Oregon. I've had family that's worked for Nike. Feels like half of our Prevy team worked at Nike as well. It's not quite half, but a lot of them did. And Nike's employee store is amazing. Have you ever been there?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So in Beaverton, Oregon, Nike's headquarters, they have their employee store. It is the most profitable Nike store in the world, not just revenue, but also profits. Employees can go there and shop all they want. Everything's 50% off. And I might get some of these details wrong.
Yeah.
And every employee gets like 4 or 5 passes a year they can give out to friends or family. And so to get one of these golden tickets to go in there and shop, and this is all the new Nike stuff. This isn't the old stuff.
Yeah.
This isn't the stuff no one wants. It's the cool stuff. So if you get one of these golden tickets, they give you a date. This is the date that you can come. When you walk in the front door, you can be in there as long as you need to until they close. But once you walk out, you're done. And then when you're in there, you're capped on how much you can spend.
This is cool.
And so it's like the coolest thing ever. I've been in there 3 different times myself. And I think when I was there, the spending limit was $1,000, which everything, I think for non-employees, it's 40% off. For employees, it's 50% off. But I think I was at like $800 that I was spending. And then I'm thinking, like Christmas is 4 months away. Mm-hmm. I'm starting to think of like, how can I spend the rest? Mm-hmm. Because I'm not going to have this opportunity again. One of our employees who worked at Nike, he has a photo from when he went for a drop that they had a pair of shoes that were launching at the Nike employee store, massive line of just Nike employees. And so we wanted to recreate that. It's cool.
It's way cool when your employees want to buy your product.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
So
you've got something there. That's pretty incredible.
I hope so.
Yeah. Now the insurance piece is interesting too, because you're right. A lot of people have focused on the payroll benefits, 401k, all that type of stuff in tech. I don't know a lot of people who focused on the home and auto insurance aspect of this, particularly on the employee benefits side.
Yeah.
Right.
So this is an interesting thing because there are a lot of companies that actually do it. Employees are not aware of it.
Interesting.
And that's the difficult position. The other thing that I've learned about the insurance industry is you don't get any kind of benefit if you're loyal to your insurance company. In fact, the people that we're saving the most money for are people that have been with their insurance carrier for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. And it's shocking how much they will save by switching. And so you're kind of penalized. The other thing about the insurance industry is insurance agents earn a commission. They get a percentage of whatever your annual premium is. And so if your annual premium goes down and you're paying less, the insurance agent gets paid less. So there is no incentive for them to proactively try to find you a better deal. And our mission makes this very clear for us. We want your paycheck to go further than it does. And so we're making a promise to everybody. We will constantly shop for you. We will find the best deal. And if we can't save money for you today, we'll put you on the list. We'll check again in 6 months and let you know. So it's almost like credit monitoring. We'll do an assessment for you, and then we can monitor and let you know when it goes down. And if it goes down, that means we're going to make less on it. And we are completely okay with that. We think that's the right thing to do.
Yeah. Yeah. That's how many employees do you have now?
43.
Okay. That's actually really big for 2025.
That's what I'm learning. Yes. It's small for pre-2025.
Yeah, it's small but that's a pretty big team for this era. How are you utilizing AI? I mean, the reason why it's small, everyone knows, is because of AI, right? Like you can get a lot more done with less employees. How are you thinking about it? How are you using it internally? Obviously, it's part of the rollout in the product, but give us a sense for how you're using it internally.
Yeah. So we talk about AI all the time. And I tend to agree with this. People aren't going to get replaced by AI. People that are going to get replaced are the people using it. They're going to get replaced by the people using AI. So you got to start using AI. I use it every single day, whether it's searching for things, helping me understand things, helping me write things a little more simply, more clear, that kind of stuff. Our engineers are using it to speed up coding, to review their code.
It's unbelievable for coding.
It's amazing.
It's unbelievable. Then
you start seeing all the things it's doing for product and design. You can literally generate an image in seconds with OpenAI's recent rollout, where you can just take an image of a shoe and say, make a 70s ad for this shoe. It's mind-blowing how quickly people can iterate on things. Sales, it's helping drastically in follow-up and things like that. So we're using it in about every single aspect of the company. What's really exciting is actually putting it inside the product and making it something that is really easy for people to use and gain value out of. And so we have it for the cell phone bills to help you understand that, give you a quote, do an apples to apples comparison. We're just starting with that. Next will be understanding your insurance, your home and auto insurance, umbrella, renters. Those declaration pages aren't the easiest to understand. If you've ever looked at your bill, they're usually 30 pages or more. And usually it's all in unfamiliar jargon as well. Like no average person is going to be able to understand it. AI solves that. And so being able to help people really understand what they're getting, compare it to what we can offer, and make sure they're making a good decision is going to be amazing. And then just what other bills do you have? What other things can we do? Where are you spending money? How do we help you get a little further along in life, get more out of your paycheck, save money on the things that you have to pay for, but then actually have money to spend on the things you want?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a critical piece. When I think of you as a leader in your leadership style, immediately culture comes front and center. Like, you really made culture a big piece of how you lead companies. Talk to us about culture. What makes a great culture? How do you think about it? How come your companies are so great at it?
Yeah. So first, I don't believe there's a right or wrong culture. Every culture is different, and I think that's a beautiful part of it. One of the best definitions I've ever heard of culture is There's three parts to it. People want to be a valued member of a winning team doing meaningful work. And I think if you can nail those three things, it really doesn't matter what you do. It doesn't matter what the words are for your values. All of that stuff is kind of lipstick. It really comes down to, how do your employees feel? It's a feeling. Some companies work until midnight and then they're back in the office at 6 a.m. And those people say they love their culture. Then there's people in very successful companies that show up at 9 and leave at 5, and they love their company. But usually if people love their company, there's probably 2 out of those 3 elements that are there. They feel valued and they're doing something meaningful. Maybe the company's not, the number one company in the market, but when you get all 3 of those, that's when magic happens. If you're growing extremely fast, if you're the leading company and you're innovating, and then people see how that plays out in the future, what does it mean? And then they love the people they work with. Oftentimes, if you just get the people right, everything else solves itself. And that doesn't mean just a bunch of nice people. You can hang out with a bunch of nice people and be bored out of your mind and not feel like you're progressing. People actually want to be challenged. They want to grow. And so when we talk about culture, it's not this soft and fuzzy thing. And that's the misunderstanding that I think a lot of leaders have. When they hear culture, they're like, I can't put that in a spreadsheet. And it just blows my mind, because those are the companies that are probably struggling with turnover. They're hiring more recruiters, all of that to combat all of that. Really, it just comes down to find the people that buy into the vision and treat them really, really well. So I can't do any of this stuff without all 43 of those people at the office. And so I'm in it with them, they're in it with me, and we're just fighting together.
Okay, 2 more questions for you, because I know, this is a big moment for your company and you're about to, launch something huge. You've been in the Utah tech community for a long time. How has it changed, evolved, and what's better, what's worse, what needs to change over the next, 5-10 years for us to keep rolling, keep this thing going?
Yeah. That's a good question. I don't think I have any specific answers, with what is different today than what it was like when I started my first company back in 2008. Weave was 2011. But I think it just comes back to it's almost a first principle. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to learn how to adapt. Everything's going to change. It doesn't matter what your plan is. Look at the tariffs happening right now.
Right.
Anybody plan for that? Probably not. But guess what? You got to face it.
Yeah.
And so you're just constantly going to be presented with different problems. AI, amazing thing for a lot of companies, the death to other companies potentially.
For sure.
All the employees out there, is my job just going to get automated away? Maybe, maybe not. But if you can adapt, you're going to be safe. And if you can make that one of the strongest characteristics you have, then you're going to win. You might not know what it looks like, what winning looks like, but you're going to be there.
Right. Finally, I just like asking this question to everybody, because, we believe the chances one gives is just as important as the chances one takes. When you hear that, who gave you a chance to get you to where you are today?
First, my wife. So when I met with her dad before I proposed to her, he, sat me down, very traditional, and asked, how are you going to support my daughter? And I hadn't started a company. I think this was 2003 that I sat down with him. And I was doing door-to-door sales at the time. And I think I said something along the lines of, I'm good at sales. I'm going to, keep kind of doubling down on that. Well, that changed pretty quickly. 2 years later, I was no longer doing door-to-door sales. And I had the discussion with her, should I go get a job, you know, a salary, a position somewhere, or what if I started a company? And that's when I started my first company in 2008. And we took $5,000 out of our savings. And I said, once this is gone, then like I will go get a job. I will not spend $1 more than this. I blew through that money so fast. But she kept believing.
Yeah.
And she's believed every step of the way. And continues to believe. So not only, I mean, co-founders of companies, investors that believed early on, all the people that supported the vision, joined, left great paying companies and joined. I mean, the list goes on and on. My parents, like you can't do this on your own.
Yeah.
And I'm so grateful for so many different people.
You really do need that support system, huh? Without it, it's just, you know, the impossible it becomes even more impossible.
Yep.
Brandon, thank you so much, man. Thanks for coming in. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Everybody check out Previ.com. Launch today.
There we go. Let's
There you
go.
Man.